All right, we're going to look at the invisible hand theory that was created by Adam Smith, who is considered the father of capitalism in his 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations. What Adam Smith says is that if people pursue their own their own self-interest, in especially economic pursuits, determining for themselves what jobs they want to do, things that they want to buy, how they want to consume. What we would do is we would specialize in whatever it is that interests us and our own self-interest, and then we would trade for everything else that we need. And so this idea of invisible hand, this unseen force, this market force that makes things work out, when we pursue our own self-interest, other people benefit. So for those who go into the medical field, whether it's doctors or nurses, it's the patient who benefits that. And yes, that might be an underlying reason why you might go into that particular industry, but once again, you're going to go into the medical field, whether it's doctor or nurse, because you are pursuing your own self-interest. That's something that interests you, whether it's this idea that I can make money off of this or I want to help people. It's still, at the end of the day, you pursuing your own self-interest. Those who go into education, there are people who benefit that decision, that self-interested decision. There are people who benefit from people who go into cosmetology. There are people that you have the people who cut hair and people who do nails. I get my car oil changed all the time, and I take that in and have somebody pay for that. So they pursued their own self-interest in being a mechanic or someone who wants to specialize in that. And then I benefit from that. And then we have factory workers all over the United States who financially pursue their own self-interest going into those particular fields. And those of us who can go in and buy things benefit from their decisions. And what Adam Smith would say is you do not need the government planning these things. Self-interest will benefit everyone, and this idea of this unseen free market, everything will work itself out without government planning. And one thing that I wanted to add is, we've looked at the production possibility curve and this idea that we are because of scarcity, there's always an opportunity cost. And so given the resources that we have, we can only produce so many things. So looking at food and clothing and shelter and electronics and shoes and all of that, if you had to produce everything on your own, you wouldn't have the home that you have, and you wouldn't have the cell phone or the shoes or the clothes or all the things that you want, because you would be limited by the amount of things that you could produce yourself. So what Adam Smith's idea is that you pursue your own self-interest. You either be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher, or mechanic, or a hairstylist, and in exchange for your labor you make money, and then you can take that money and go out and buy all of the things that you need. So within your own self, there's no way you could produce all of the goods and services that you would like to consume. So you specialize and trade so that you consume outside of the things that you could actually produce. And that goes for a country also. There's no way the United States could produce every single thing that people wanted and needed. So what do? They focus on what they do, and then they trade for everything else. And then the idea of competition in a free market is extremely important. So once again, self-interest is extremely important. But how do we regulate wages? How do we regulate prices? How do we make sure that all of the needs are met? So if there is a need out there that's not being met, wages go up. Prices will go up, which will give an incentive for people to enter into those particular industries, and those needs will be met. If there's a surplus of workers or surplus of products in any one given industry, then the wages will come down and will discourage people to leave. And so in summary, this idea of the invisible hand, self-interested people pursuing their own self-interest benefits other people. Competition will regulate prices and wages. Government involvement is not required. We do not need the government to plan things. The free market will fill all the needs. And once again, this idea of free market wages through competition and prices will regulate themselves.